Again, welcome to our third substantive discussion at our fourth meeting time for student critical thinking, practical reasoning. And we are glad to engage content on topic 3. Before we delve into it though, I want to ask each one of you briefly to defend what you have put there. So let me know which question you want to address and tell me how you responded to it. I don't want to impose any because I want you to feel free and respond. You may want to read your thing if it's accessible to you, or you may just touch on it. I want us to discuss the practice questions I gave. That's all. Okay. So anybody, any hand raised yet? Let's see. Oh, all right. Anyone wants to try? There were 3 questions, so you want to take any one of them, and then very good, Emmanuel Tavia. Well done. Emmanuel, go ahead.
Okay, madam. So I want to talk about the first essay I wrote,
Please
which
do.
was logical truth and empirical truth.
Yes, please.
And I gave practical examples, one being teenage pregnancy, and
Yes,
then
please.
maybe the other one being pork. The doctor advised Elvis against eating pork.
Very good.
And
Can you fill us in? You want to know what was inside that?
okay, so I stated that logical truths are factual and they are not debatable. And so I used the example of teenage pregnancy, and I said that teenage pregnancy describes a girl child between the ages of 13 to 19 years who gets pregnant. So for you to be able to qualify to be called a teenage pregnant girl, you must be between the ages of 13 to 19. And therefore, a person who is above or below that age range cannot be qualified to be called teenage pregnant, making the example a logical truth.
Okay. Very
And
good.
then the second one I
I have
spoke
a little
about.
correction there, but I don't want to interrupt you. So when you finish, so just for the
Okay,
notice of those who may be listening, okay. I
okay.
think we have
And
our friend in continuous here. Yeah.
the second example I used to explain logical truth, I spoke about pork. And I said the term pork meant the meat from a pig, and you can't use that term to describe the meat of any other animal. And that makes it a logical truth.
Okay.
And then the empirical statement, I said it was based on a person's viewpoint or his personal opinion about a certain topic being discussed. And I gave an example being there was one Valentina who is the prettiest in our class. And I said this statement, prettiest, is an empirical truth because beauty is subjective. And what I might refer to as beauty might not be beautiful to somebody. What I'll call nice might be a work in progress for somebody else. And so I said that
Hey,
that
Emmanuel.
statement, so I said that statement was an empirical statement. So that's a brief of what I wrote for one of the subject topics.
Very good. You very good for the effort, very good for the confidence. That is what I am applauding. Okay.
Thank you.
The substantive content is fine. I'll have to fine tune them one to tweak them here and there because it is an open session, and that's what the questions were for to elicit discussions. That way, you are able to know what you should add or top up to help the generality of the class. So good. I just wanted to point out that when we say it is logical truth, we can't say it is factual. Okay. So just that tiny correction so that when we all go back to our slides, we can check that if it is logical, it doesn't deal with factual, it is the language. So factual will rather resonate more, connect more with what empirical. Empirical. So when you hear the word empirical or observation based, then it is a factual one. Okay. And then the logical one will be what is built on language definitions, logical structure. So the definition, the meanings, okay, truth or falsity, be arrived at by what? The meanings of terms. Okay, so perhaps that is where how you are defining the earlier word sits well. Okay, now the examples, I will just interrogate them myself and then look at it. But well done. Thank you so much. Let's take Felicity Dede. Afterwards, I'll take Charles' view. Felicity, go ahead.
So the question I wanted to discuss is using the terms development and fidelity, explain the value of the terms that are essentially contestable and show how they
Yes.
differ from well-defined. So I
Very good.
explained development that first I went on to explain how there's a difference between open textured in a sense that the term has various meanings which even in the same discipline can have different connotations.
Very good.
As
Felicity, dear, sorry to interrupt. You are giving a very fine presentation that will be helpful to the generality of the class, myself included. Okay. So don't
okay.
worry. Take all the time and speak. I think you were running a little to get logged
Yeah,
on.
I
No
get
problem. Do you want to take a little? I can give 2 minutes for people to stretch.
oh,
I don't have a problem at all. Then you take
it's
your time. Okay, it's fine. So just take your time and say it. Someone will benefit. Okay, go ahead.
okay. So I first defined contextual term as one which has various meanings that even within the same discipline, it can be contestable in the sense that it can have different connotations.
Very good.
I also
Continue.
defined a well-defined term as a concrete definition that cannot be impugned upon in various disciplines. In a sense that in every discipline that you find that term in, it means the same. It cannot be different. So using development, I first specified that it was an open texture term, and then I gave some different definitions or connotations for development. So one
Very
of
good.
them was that development involves like a nation's economic and social growth. It can
Good.
in society it can also be associated with having a good moral standing and high
Wow.
moral values. In a
Wow.
company, it can be associated with high productivity, an increase in
Excellent.
capital income and stuff like that.
Hey,
And then
Auntie. Hey. Go. That's fine. Keep
oh,
going.
okay, sorry. And then for the well-defined term that I was using to show the difference between open textured and well-defined, I used the subtraction. So I made an example that for in subtraction, no matter where you go, it always means the same. 5 minus 2 is 3. Whether it is
Very good.
5 apples minus 2 apples, you get 3 apples. 5 pears minus 3 pears is 3 minus 2 pairs is 3 pairs. Maybe 5 books minus 2 books is 3 books. The factor 5 minus 2 will never change in any circumstance. So that is why it is a well-defined term.
In
So then,
mathematics, you mean? Yes.
yes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And now, and I also went on to discuss fidelity as it being an open texture term. So I
Good.
discussed it that, for instance, in fidelity, it is one of those terms where even in the same discipline, such as religion, it has different connotations. In Christianity, fidelity means being faithful to only one woman. There should be no exceptions involved. In the
Yeah.
Islamic religion, you can say that fidelity is not impugned upon unless the man takes more than 5 wives and is not able to fully take care of all of them.
Very good.
Fidelity is still assured. In the traditional religion, a man can marry as many wives as possible in African society, provided he can take care of them. Then,
Felicity,
so
the
in
energy in Christianity of certain types, in other words, certain versions of it, there could be like Solomon's own. Solomon had 300
yeah,
wives. We are told him
yeah,
700 concubines.
yeah.
And just imagine, will he recognize his 77th wife if she's passing?
Yeah.
Guys,
So,
crazy man. But so that is
yeah.
the point. Just to buttress the open texturedness of what it means to be infidel, even within one sect of a religious group. Very brilliant.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then I also define fidelity when it comes to the justice system in governance. It means complete allegiance to any power and authority. So that is also another different context where the word fidelity can have a different meaning. And then I use the notion of logic to act as a well-defined term to show the difference between it. That for logic concept, it doesn't take notice of the concept that it is in. What the statement is always the same. For instance, one does hard work, hence he would be paid. It doesn't take into consideration the fact that, oh, maybe he's underpaid or overpaid. That does not have any effect on logic. Logic says that when one has worked hard, one should be paid, and that is as simple as that. So that was how I used, those are the examples that I used to show the difference between open texture terms and well-defined terms. That's all.
Very impressive. Very, very impressive. Fidelity. Hey, Felicity, why do I keep calling you that? Whenever I do that, I owe you 1 mark. Eh? Well done. I think the class will also appreciate that. So Emmanuel Teria, thank you. Felicity, dear, thank you. Now I take Charles Lane, and I'm waiting to hear from every other person. I have to know that you are defending what you put down, and so that the marks I have awarded will be secured. Else, I won't be able to, ground it. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Charles Lane, go ahead.
Please, I spoke about the second one. Using at least 3 different practical examples. So why a critical thinker should be mindful of possible implicit and explicit meanings in people's expressions. The
Very good.
response should be between 500 and 600. So
Yes.
please, I started by distinguishing between explicit and implicit. Explicit
Very good.
describes something that has been expressed directly, while implicit describes something that has been implied. And
Well
I was
done.
like, doing so allows one to better understand and interpret
Sorry,
the
I'll
message
interrupt
being
you just to make a point. Do you realize that I didn't even tell you that in my slides? I just explained it. But the way Madame has set off, she's already telling you, giving you a definition. She's saying it in a way that will help you have a meaning. Then now she's building on. That is a very good sign. She sets off telling us, okay, so I took this question and explicit means so and so and so. She's lecturing, okay? And you can do that only when you already have the subject matter, you have the content. So you are given the frame so you can take off. Very good, Charles Lane. Now go ahead. Your friends are listening. I'm eagerly listening as well.
Please, doing so allows one to better understand and interpret the message being conveyed, and it make more informed decision based on that information. So in this response, I will provide 3 practical examples to illustrate why a critical thinker should be aware of both implicit and explicit meanings in a communication. So please, I gave 3 examples. The first one was about a theme setting. So, for example, imagine a team member says they are fine when asked about their well-being. On the
Very
surface,
good.
this may seem like a straightforward response, but if you are mindful of the implicit meaning, you may recognize that the team member may not actually be fine. By recognizing the implicit meaning, you can take a step to understand the team member's situation and offer support. You could then
Very
ask a follow-up question like, is there anything specific that is bothering you? Or how can I help you? Doing so shows that you care about your coworker and you are willing to support them, which can strengthen
Very
the
good.
team dynamic.
I'm
Then
so
the other
impressed.
example was in a consulting room. It's important to be mindful of both explicit and implicit meaning from your patient's expression. For instance, a child and a father walk into your consulting room. You realize that the child gives straightforward answers, but the child's outward appearance shows that the child is hiding something. You can
Very
sense some
good.
fear and anxiety from the child.
Ah, +1 for
Communication
everyone.
skills.
Charles Nyabotre, relax.
Thank you, madam.
I'm going to give everyone, I mean it. So even if you, for some reason, get a better offer or something somewhere, we'll put the 1 mark on file for everyone of you. Because this is just the third person speaking. And that is critical. What we are doing is critical thinking. I am going to dab them all. and use them in my example. That's how I'm copying. So I've asked for no copyright issues with you. I'm going to use it. These are fine examples. Emmanuel did a good job. Felicity has built on it, and Charleslyn is doing a yeoman's job as well. Very important examples. I hope everyone is fine. What would the person? The person has come into your hospital and it's in your course. You think if everything was okay, the person will come. But when you say, "Oh, I hope all is well," or "I hope you are fine," the person say, "Yes, doctor, I'm fine." The thing is, before she will start talking about that, "I'm fine," she said, is the explicit way of speaking. But so far as he or she is there, there's an implicit. So you will still go ahead and listen. And I love that. And then now she says sometimes the child will be giving you straightforward answers because she came with perhaps the molester. The very molester is the one that has come, supposedly bringing her for help. So you will see that you can't be a naive pediatrician, or if you like, a physician. All that you are sitting there waiting to do is administer drugs or diagnose sicknesses. You have to be a critical mind and notice. And this is so crucial that I can't help than to intervene and show my admiration at the example and how it's being delivered. I can see that Charleslyn reads some portion to set off and give the question, gives the frame, and then now she starts to elaborate to make the point, like a lecture. Very good. Take note. The child is just nodding. Are you happy? Yes. Did you say yes? No, auntie. Yes, auntie. And yet you can sense that if it was a chat, the chat could have flowed. Something is not right. You may need to say, "Daddy, could you please get me the medicine as well?" They say, "Oh, no, you get it for me." And say, get some drink for the child. As if it is part of the physician's work, just to buy time to apply your critical thinking skills. Then you may just find out that as soon as Daddy steps outside, you say, "Ah, my precious lady, you're so beautiful. Are you afraid?" Totally away from the discussion, and perhaps you may discover a big time molester or a big time, what's the name of these people who want to hurt anyone? A psychopath. You may have discovered one big time that this lady is suffering from. And that is how serious Charleslyn's presentation so far is, which has nothing to do with stethoscope or thermometer, but everything to do with being a smart person. Smart here meaning what? A critical mind. I hope I didn't take all the ideas from Charleslyn yet, because I know that there are more coming. Keep your hands up so that people don't say your people don't take all your ideas, because I'll give all the fans and then some will not be left. Charleslyn, continue for us. Good job. Keep going.
You can sense some fear and anxiety from the child. Communication can be verbal and non-verbal. The verbal aspect of communication shows the explicit meaning of what the child is saying, whereas the non-verbal communication skill, which represents the terrific nature of the child, shows the implicit meaning of what the child is saying. You could tell the dad to get a drug from the pharmacy to give some privacy to the child. The child
Wow.
gets to open up when the father leaves to get a drug from the pharmacy. Could understand the child and make sure the child gets the right treatment.
Very good.
Please, my last example.
Can you imagine, Charles? You see that my example, my intervention was as if I was there with you.
Yes,
Because I talked about you could ask the daddy to go get something from the pharmacy, and I didn't study with you. I have not done any discussion with you. I've not looked at your submission yet. But I could tell from the way you are speaking that these are practical and they will happen as medical folks in the making if you get to do it as medicine fully. And we pray you do. We need more of such. Then you apply these. Add the last one, then another feature can come in. We are with everyone who make a comment, I believe, on what you have presented. So I can ground the mark because the performance will be good. But I can't tell if you did it. You should be able to give a defense of a kind of it. Go on, just do the last one.
please, my last example. A patient walks into your consulting room And then you
Yes, ma'am.
could tell from the patient's facial expression and gestures that the patient is in pain. But due to the fear of being hospitalized or cost of hospital bills, when you ask the patient that, are
I'm
you
sorry.
fine? The patient,
Hey, and that one there, you will face a lot of it, eh? So, oh, everything is okay, especially if you have an exam that day. And you can tell that this doctor too smart, she will admit you. Hey, so that the hospital will get, sometimes it's not so much because of that. They want you to rest and you want to work a little. So you see that. So, Vivian, okay, everything is fine. Go on, Jocelyn. I love those examples.
looking at the patient makes you notice that the patient is showing signs of pain. Signs like frowning of the face and holding of a particular spot. The patient's response to your question tells you the explicit meaning of what the patient is saying. The patient's expression tells you the implicit meaning of what the patient is saying. You can go ahead to use a good communication skill to make the patient open up to you. You could suggest ways by which you could help the patient sort their hospital bills and receive necessary treatment. By doing so, your patients tend to love and trust you. They wouldn't hesitate to share their personal issues with you.
Well done. We can give an e-clap. You know how to give an e-clap to all the three people presented so far. I'm doing mine now. I'm sure you see it on screen. You have to give your colleagues some e-claps there. Okay. It's very beautiful. Go to the reaction. Well done. Well, they see your folks are all happy about what you've done so far. It gives a shine to the class, and we are on recording. Private to us, though I don't make our recordings public. Yours specifically, I don't make it public on the YouTube channel that we have there, but other ones I because of the we are a bit close. But I think these are the ones that we love to put out there. It's coming from students. They are there to do medicine, and they have this kind of brain thinking, push to it. Very, very healthy, and I'm glad. Thank you, Charleslyn. Thank you, Felicity. Thank you, Manalteria. And it can only get better. We want one or two more, I think. Let's take Nana Kofi. Nana Kofi, go ahead.
Hello,
Hello, sir.
I'm going to be talking about. I'm giving an example, just one example from the assignment,
Yes,
which is to talk about the empirical knowledge. So I'll talk about my introduction. I'll just give the example. Okay. So I started by empirical is one who. Please rewind. An empirical truth is one whose truthfulness or falsity can be ascertained through experimentation, a control test experiments and observation, whether gustatorily, factually, or factually or orally. Whereas a logical truth is one whose correctness or realism can be justified by thoughtful deliberations on the statement. Okay, so I move on straight to my example.
Yes.
The example I have is that one under the empirical truth, right? So I give an example that a young man enters a chop bar and inquires about the softness of the fufu available. He's told that it is very soft, even though it's ting and not neat fufu. Regardless, he must first wash his hands and
Nana Kofi. You people kill me this afternoon. Hey, I'm tempted to say +1 again for everyone. Go on, Nana. What has food done this afternoon? I'm not eating. I want lunch. Go ahead. Very practical. I say I want practical.
regardless, he must first make the purchase, wash his hands, and tactfully engage the fufu. That is, press it. Determine the truth value of the statement. You see it about the food. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. So everyone, I don't know if someone else wants to give us an inkling of their submission. If not, it's fine. I think we have a good representation of what has been done so far. If I showed you I've seen 39 unread messages up there. And I didn't pull them out yet because I want to check the time and everything. But generally, it's very good. Okay, I see Abna Ichia in his hand. Abna, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, my lady.
Okay, this I didn't actually write it in my essay, but I
But you
thought
want
of
to
it
talk about
and
that? Sure,
I
do,
thought of it
because
as you were speaking.
that can affect positively
Pardon?
what you have there. I can add that because this is you that I'm listening to. So if I hear it and it is fine, it can augment what is in the paper. So go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so a practical example of implicit and explicit meanings would be a very typical example. Say you're eating food, or you go to a restaurant, or you're in your house and you're eating food, and then you
Yes.
start fanning your tongue and you have funny facial expressions, and you just simply cannot finish the food. You are trying your best, but you simply cannot finish it. You've been on it for hours.
Why? Is it a pepper?
Yes. So without seeing, you are telling the person that simply that the food isn't nice.
It's not
or-
nice, but you don't have the vim to say it, especially if the person is your in-law
Yes.
and you are here to finish
Yes. So that's an example.
I hear you, my lady. It will definitely have a toast on your marking. Abna, I won't forget. So I make a note of that. Before Abna, my brother Nana Kofi, Nana Kofi made me laugh. I didn't put down your name. Everyone will get to get some class participation mark and then effort for this assignment. So let me now not take so much for granted because perhaps others may have had one or few challenges, and so it's only fair that we work it out together for you to have an idea of what I had in mind. You see that I gave you just the first 3 questions, which is what you see on the screen now. But the questions were see, and it has been so since last week when we met. They were all there. And they are all potential possible questions we could have asked you. It's not just questions, but to show you that the 2 topics, just the 2 topics we've done so far, can cover all these that are relevant, useful for your practice and for everyday life. Okay, so we'll do it together. Logical truth from empirical truths. I think the discussion already set us up nicely when Emmanuel Teria Mensah took up the baton. If a truth, think of truth as what? Statement. So logical statements versus what? Empirical statements. We ask you to use practical instances to do the distinction. So if I told you that bachelor, and I'm using the examples we saw already, so that now it will help for understanding. Yeah, in your slides, lecture 1. Where I gave you pause to think, I think slide number 3 or 4, so lecture 1. If you are now on, just in case you just joined recently, you see that the slide was shared on the platform that I asked to be on the WhatsApp one to be created for dissemination of information directly from me. I don't want you to have too many excuses. The class rep delayed, or the class rep was not well, God forbid, or this and that. So if it is something that has to go to the class, I put it there. Everybody has it directly. So they are there. Lecture 1, lecture 2. I think I've even put lecture 3. You can confirm that. Okay. So you will see this empirical, logical truth versus empirical truth discussion and some examples of them there. Then the recorded links, like what we are having now, this class we are having is being recorded just to help you. Not that it is recorded so you don't attend lectures. No, you will have to attend. I can call you, like last week it happened. and I got 1 or 2 messages from people. I think someone even sent a message to explain that, oh, Smith or Benten was online. So I said, are you the person? It is for your sake. It's love. I'm expressing love. Let the person do that for their own sake, because I'm accessible to the whole class. My number is there. The only thing I don't enjoy too much is calls, because my timing, you may call right if someone calls me, be a nuisance. I'm teaching. Unless even weekends, I teach distance to the adult students over the weekends and all. So if we can avoid it, if it's not too much of an emergency, then we work with WhatsApp. I respond to WhatsApps a lot, especially when you make me know. And that's one, I want to say it again for my family health student, the medical folks. Put it there as part of your message. When you do that, I won't throw you off. It is not because you have to have that. It is because I don't bring a teaching assistant there. We don't have arrangements to take care of queries that you may have. Okay, I deal with you directly and assist you directly. That's the arrangement we have with family health. Okay, so I will have to answer that question. But sometimes if you just send a message, for example, and you don't say, oh, doc, please, this is so and so person of family health or of the medical school, something like that. And I wanted to clarify this. If you don't say that, you just say, doc, please, what is the email that we should submit the assignment into? My possible response will be, were you instructed to submit into emails? Because that is not the arrangement for the 6,000 plus main campus students and the 3,000 or so distance education students that are on the program for only this semester. You don't put it in emails. You put it there, I'll penalize you big time. Excuse me, okay? But for our class, it's a moderately manageable class. And so I can give an instruction, I give a period. So I'll be in my system, pull them out, and then I know that it won't go unnoticed. Okay. So that's just an example of what you should look out for and then how we should manage it. So you can go to the platform if you are new, or you may not even be new, but you didn't take notice. You'll find the PDFs, those are the notes. And then you also find our recorded interactive session like this. And then on the academic channel where these links are posted, when you go to your YouTube and you search for Dr. Nancy Miles Jemfi, you will find other recordings because I've made them accessible to the public on the specific topics that we have done. And then you can just play them and you may find some of the content there useful. So back to where we are now, just to put some few people who may want that help, their minds at what rest. Empirical versus logical truth. So I asked you to distinguish it, not coming to give me theory because I've given that to you, but use practical instances, actual life situations to show that certain statements of truth are logical in nature. They are language based, and then others are empirical in nature. They are observation based. Show that. Then you will okay. So if I ask you to do that, my dear brothers and sisters in the Lord, your friend gave us fine examples, and I only want to refer to one in those slides or I record it to connect it for you so it sparks up. Okay, I now get it even clearer. Okay, so if I told you, there comes the practical instance I want to refer to. The bachelor next door beat his wife mercilessly. And he has even been arrested. That statement of truth, I said something that can be either true or false. What did I say? That the bachelor next door beat his wife mercilessly. This is logically false by the language. That's what I mean. Because if he's a bachelor, then he cannot beat his wife. Okay. Now, then you can say such a statement can be distinguished, which is a logical truth, can be distinguished from another one that may have said, for example, that because it rained heavily at Tema yesterday, or because it rained at Tema yesterday, the party did not come off. That one is not in the language, so it's not a logical matter. The logic is talking about the language, meanings, definitions, how you are speaking, and arrangement of the words can tell you. So definitions, if you say his bachelor can be he beat his wife and all that, just that. So you don't go and observe anything. You are able to tell whether it's true or false, logical. Okay. But the empirical one is based on the fact, observation, what you see, hear, touch, taste, or smell to ascertain, not the meanings, but observation based. See, that's what we said. Okay, so if I said because it rained at Tema, the party did not come up, we can verify that. That one is not based on logic. You have to see, hear, touch, taste, or smell to ascertain truth. So we can use the two examples like that to do the distinction. Then it goes further to say, as a critical thinker, show why knowledge of this distinction is relevant for work and everyday context. And that is the actual question. Show how, if I know that certain truths have logical nature, are logical in nature, and others are empirical in nature, show why that is very useful, relevance, useful for work and everyday context. If we bring it to the work environment, remember what I told you, because the secretary was the last person who left the office yesterday, then she stole the laptop. This statement is not a logical one, it's an empirical one. That means we need further and better particulars, observation, to establish truth or falsity. So you cannot take it wholesale and start prosecuting, if you like, and sacking people and as a boss or as a colleague. You cannot do that. Sometimes you even sack them physically. You have sacked them in your heart that, hey, no, this is my friend secretary, she's a thief. So this person is coming to work, or you already have concluded based on an empirical truth. An empirical truth just means it's a statement that is based on observation. It can be false. It can be true by observation. So you need to verify. And so you need to ask some questions. You need to check, and all those things can be done with what? Your 5 senses. Before you draw any conclusions, you don't take it wholesale. But the other person says a bachelor has beaten his wife already. If you were a lawyer, so we are talking work environment, as soon as he brought you such a case to sit on, you say, my brother or my sister, well, I think you should be a sister. My sister, say a bachelor has beaten his wife. Hey, she's my sister. That's your sister is what? Is a wife to who? The bachelor. Say, oh, sorry about your pain, but I think this case, I cannot sit on it. It won't last 5 minutes at a law court. We won't even file it. Why? Because of the logic of it, the language of it. That's a work environment we have resulted. You already are able to tell the truth or falsity by how the person is speaking. Wasn't there? So another work or everyday context to make meaning to that critical thinking concept you learned. He wasn't in the building when labor pains began. The doctor had not come. He wasn't even in the hospital at all. Let's say it that way. The premises, he had not even driven into the hospital premises. So we have your hospital, your campus in mind now. The gynecologist had not come. The midwife wasn't there. So let's focus on one of them, the one who delivers, the midwife. She had not even driven into the compound. You say she was negligent? She had not even come there. This is someone giving evidence, witness. She's giving her case. So the midwife had not even entered the premises at all. The security gate car was locked, so she was not even there. You keep this claim that as you continue presenting your evidence to support, let's say, these are all scenarios to help you understand what the questions demand. So the midwife are trying to say that, oh, this midwife, she can't do that. She wasn't even in the premises. Then look at you as you progress in your reporting. You see, oh, the thing is, that's why I say this midwife, she's so good. Because at that time that the girl was pushing the baby and nobody was attending to her, she was busy. This midwife was busily attending to 3 labors at the same time in this our hospital here. Hey, auntie, you know the one who said she had not even entered the premises. Now you see the same. You see, oh, and when the lady was pushing, she had been neglected. This nurse, excuse me, this midwife was busily attending to 3 other labor in the building. Now there's trouble. This trouble is not a verification matter. It's not an observation matter. It is a language, or if you like, a logic matter. Was she in the premises or she wasn't? I'm asking about the midwife now. You have to clarify. Or you are saying she wasn't. However, when she was there, she had not neglected until confusion. Ayabasa. Why? It doesn't augur for what? Good work ethic. The person speaking will be questioned, or his or her integrity will be questionable now. And the midwife, or the very hardworking, perhaps midwives, integrity will now be in question. So certain truths or certain statements are logical in nature just by the language, meanings, definitions, logical structure. You are able to tell the truth or falsity of it. As others are observation-based or factual in nature, we call them what? Empirical truth. And this is the extent to which this knowledge of distinction can apply and show relevance in work and everyday context. See, I've said so much, but if you were writing within 500 and 600 words, then you will be a bit more coherent, organized, and present your ideas very well to earn yourself a very good mark. Any questions with that? All right. Can I have one of you read the second one, which you saw already? We'll go through them today and we'll be done. Anybody wants to read for me? Please raise your hand up. And no, I want, okay. Anybody else? Thank you. No, okay. So I can book Crystal. Crystal, go ahead. Pamela, be on standby. You do the next one. Okay. Yes, Crystal, I can hear you. Just read a little bit louder so that everyone can hear you. The recorder can pick you. Yeah. So you're reading question 2.
Practical examples. Yes. At least 3 different practical examples show why a critical thinker should be mindful of possible implicit and explicit meaning in people's experience. Your response should be within 500 words.
Thank you so much. And so, in addition to what your colleagues did, the yeoman's job, then I just want to add 1 or 2 tidbits here and there. So I could be saying, you should not talk back at your supervisor, which suggests an instruction, a mild instruction or an admonishment. You shouldn't. I just said the same thing in Tree. You shouldn't do that. But it could also be do not do that, only presented in a soft tone. should you be wearing your cap when your daddy is talking to you? Explicitly, it's as if mommy is just asking a question. Should you be wearing your cap whilst your daddy is talking to you? Your supervisor training you to become very good doctors may ask, should you be in such high heels in the surgical ward or maybe in the surgical room with such an emergency? When you hear that, it's not a question. It presents like what Charlene said. Are you fine? Okay? But sometimes your critical mind should work for every day. Like when the surgical boss, the boss training you now, I want to give you the scenario. That's why we say use that. When he tells you, should you be in, should you take, what does it say? Should you drink alcohol to that extent? Boss, when we have practice, class this morning, he's not asking you for response. It's not a question. It's not genuinely asking you a question. The same way when you, let's say, God has been gracious unto us and you are a practicing medical practitioner, correct one part, and you sit in your consulting room, and the auntie comes in, and you and her as physician have advised on the salt, and her hypertensive tendencies. And then she comes to sit in front and say, Doc, you can say, how is it going? Oh, I came for checkup, oh, Doc. Hey, Doc, I said yesterday's party I attended, it's not easy. He said, really? He said, yes. Hey, so you had fun? Of course, the doctor must be friendly. So he said, yes, so Doc, I ate. I said, I hope you were conscious of, oh, Doc, Kobe. Kobe is salted fish for my expatriate friends amongst us, okay? Kobe is salted fish. The way I was grabbing the Kobe, I did some this at the end. And so my doctor asks, should you be disobeying my admonishments like this? That is not a genuine question. It's explicitly presenting as if it is a question, but impliedly, like Charlene said, there's an implied, so there's an implicit meaning. The person is supposed to stop chuckling, chat, and shut up. She's making my work difficult. Your BP is, give me a very controversial one, 290 over 3,000. This how do you say it? When I hear it, I laugh my head off. Yours is 3,000 over 7,000 or 7,000 over 3,000. Obviously outrageous. I want us to have it. And you are sitting here telling me how you enjoy the salted goat meat that has been grilled on the fire and the pepper on it. Dog, I said, I really had fun. Topped up with some hot local gin. And I was so drained. And here I am today. I've come to see. Why? Human beings have to enjoy a little. Hey, should you not be listening to what I tell you? That will come with a question mark. Explicitly, implicitly, it didn't come to ask you. In the various instances I've given, some are queries, some are rebukes, some are judgments, some are actually instructions, and yet presented as if they are asking a question. The question says, why should people be mindful of possible implicit and so the practicing surgeon who was asked, should you be this drunk for an interview, a final interview, should you be this drunk? The response should be, that is where the person really wants to continue. I do not plan to continue this. Apologies. Not to say, yes, I should be drunk, or no, I shouldn't be drunk. Implicit and explicit meanings. I think that for the question 3, development and fidelity did the job beautifully. I said fidelity. Hey, Felicity, I owe you a mark now. Felicity did the job with fidelity and development without any qualms. So you can just play that back. Yes, it was properly done. The distinction between essentially contestable, which is open textured terms, versus well-defined terms was beautifully done. She even used the concept of subtraction to help you understand well-definedness and how it is not open to contestation. It will remain fixed if we are doing mathematics. We can't have our own version of subtraction. So that is done and well done. These other ones on your screen are for your reflection. You may see some in your midterm. All practical questions. Any questions, please? Pamela, read the first and second ones over there. Let us see. Okay. Not the first and second, but what you see on the screen. Okay.
Okay, madam. Using your own practical instances, expose the 4 errors that can be committed when giving meaning to an unknown term. In each case, explain what's the particular problem with the given definition and suggest how to correct it. Your response should be between 500 and 600 words. And the second one, using different scenarios as examples, show why it is important for an effective speaker to give due attention to the type of definition being used to make meanings to the target audience. Your response should be between 500 to 600 words.
Very good. My lady, please read the other ones. I'll see if I can.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Using practical illustrations in politics, religion, medicine, and or law, explain why a value judgment, unlike a factual statement, will have no objective truth. What are the implications for the degree of certainty a critical thinker should accord such a judgment? Your response should be between 500 and 600 words. Madam, I'm done.
Okay, please have you. I'm here. I just wanted to. Have you read all the questions on the screen?
Yes, the other one is halfway through the screen.
It's halfway there. Oh, okay. I'm switching screens. So just a minute. Let me check. I have it now. Oh, hey, you are fast, wow. I've read all the 4. People reflect because you are going to give me your gist about it, and then I know that if it appears, you can do it, and I'll be at peace.
And then the 4th one, using practical. Oh, okay, no. 3 policymakers are discussing how to ensure a just distribution of a national cake. One thinks a just distribution is sharing the national cake equally. The other thinks a just distribution is rather sharing the national cake fairly. Yet the third thinks a just distribution entails giving everyone his due. From our discussion in Unit 2, explain what the reason for making different views could be. Suggest ways to make progress in such a scenario. Your response should be between 500 to 600 words. The 5th one. In 2010, when Amma was called Slay Queen, she took the nickname with pride. However, in 2022, when the name was repeated, she got upset. Using an understanding of Unit 1 and 2, explain what could be the reason for her different reactions in both circumstances. Suggest ways to make progress in such a scenario. Example 6. Your response should be between 500 and 600 words, using 3 different scenarios. Explain why a critical thinker is advised to bracket metaphorical, proverbial, and other forms of symbolic language. Your response should be between 500 and 600 words.
Very good, Pamela. Now let's do that. And I want well done, Pamela. You read very well. People have heard all
Thank you.
All the questions that you. Maureen, should I project the last few questions left just for people to hear it and now be reflecting on it? for you to read. Then now I'll do it. That's the last bit. So Maureen, if you can, then just read, because your hand was also up. Then it will only be fair. Then what I'll do is just give you, is there a question, Maureen dear? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
About the implicit and explicit expression.
Yes, please.
You
Oh,
only
I'm so sorry. I thought you wanted to read. I've seen the hand already, but I thought it was for reading. Go ahead.
you only get to like the differences were all about change. So can you give one without
You said, can you use like
change?
yes,
Can you
like
give one
interrogative
example?
and what's the other one? Imperative, or you can even say sometimes the person is speaking as if he's speaking factually, and yet it is a valid judgment, or sometimes the person looks like he's describing a fact, and yet it is prescriptive as well. All these versions of it. My examples were mostly interrogatives, which are implicitly imperative. I just used one type. Okay, but you can have, like if I say that your short friend came here, as if it's a crime to be short. You see? So it seems to be just describing a fact that the person is at least shorter than you, and yet it also looks as if it's a value judgment of an opinion, like why should your friend be that short? Okay, so that can also be an example. Then we can have instances where you are speaking figuratively, and so the explicit, the overt meaning, I'm just adding another word that we already met. This at the surface of it, the one that is openly given to you suggests something, and yet if you look into it, it could mean another. I could say the president is a lion, referring to Ghana's president. Okay, the president is a lion. That's a metaphorical use of an expression, metaphor, comparing two things without using like or as. The president is a lion. This one could explicitly mean something, implicitly mean another. In fact, metaphors are intentionally vague, open-ended. If you don't want to be misunderstood, for you to go and lose your position in government or something, don't go be metaphorical, where someone who wants your position can go and tell the president, you see how your, let's say, for example, how your chief of staff introduce you to the public. What is this thing that he's telling people you are a liar? Why? So you are here scaring all of us, bullying us. You shouldn't do those things. Those things don't help our campaign. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe to what you intended to say is the president is bold, you face them, the external forces, and keep our economy intact. It means the same thing. Because of the figure of speech you are using, it can have explicit and implicit meanings. Maybe the example I gave, perhaps we will do them even better. On what? The husband telling the doctor, uncle, doctor, God will bless you. My wife is now a pig. As soon as the concerners, apologies, my next friends tell me, doc, sometimes we they don't give us mercy, guys, so don't worry. You do a good job, but some too. The concerners heard that. The man said, my wife is now a pig. No, then she take a phone. Green, madam, come and see how your husband is insulting you in this hospital. What have you done at home there? You should clean the house. And stop snoring into his ears at night, because he's here embarrassing you. There were even some other patients there. Oh, it's not good. It's not good. Because when the nurse heard the husband say, my wife is now a pig dog, all she thought of is dirty and what? Snoring, which are true of such figurative use of a language. But that could also mean that she has put on, or she's eating well, eating everything to the, what's the expression? To the joy. I want to say that something that is making the husband very happy now, because the woman has taken seed and she can't eat. In the past, few weeks. And she's growing lean and lean and lean, doesn't have the strength to even hold the baby through to the trimester. Doctor gives some medication, some advice, 1 or 2 stuff, and the sister is eating like a glutton. The man is happy and comes to tell the doctor she's a pig now. You only see the other part of that expression. So the expression, my wife is a pig, could have explicit, pig is 4-legged. That one we all know, dirty stores. But it could also have several other meanings. If I said she's a pig, it could mean she snores, she's fat, or she's putting on now. Excuse me, she snores, she's dirty. Because that can have several other meanings, you want to be cautious where you want objectivity. So that's what we discussed in Unit 2 when we looked at vagueness. I suspect we have done that. Okay, my sister, so all those instances can give you implicit and explicit meanings. And so if that is your concern, not to worry at all. When I was elaborating, I just focused more on interrogative, presenting as if it's a question, and yet it's not genuinely seeking for answers. It's actually instructing, or sometimes reprimanding, or sometimes advising, etc., etc. I don't know if that helps, Auntie. Very good. Very important question. Others will benefit. I don't know. For some reason, I'm really enjoying today's class. Someone was praying by. Because I thought I would come and hammer. Oh, this one day, you have really explicit and implicit me. Well done. So now I want to do 1 or 2 additions to what Pamela read. Those are questions that are possible questions you can be asked, and they have the format and the patterns that the earlier 3 had. But main campus students did some of them. Okay. And excuse me, the bad code. I hope it doesn't disturb you too much, offend you too much. Okay, so we say expose the 4 errors. Of course, using practical examples, expose the 4 errors that can be committed when giving meaning to an unknown term. What would that be looking at? Anybody wants to respond? Very good. 4 errors. There we go. Say before. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, madam.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the problems with definitions for
Well done.
fixing the secular or varying expression as a problem.
Very good. Very good. That is what the question is trying to point at. You see, only 2 topics. So people don't, only 2 topics. We can do all the examination there. Only 2 topics. And so look at the second half of the question. It says, in each case, we ask you to expose the 4 errors. So we would show a 2 narrow, 2 broad, secular, vague, like Oseko said. But in each case, we ask you to explain what the particular problem is. So you are supposed to create examples that commit those 4 errors and show it like that. See? Then when you are able to do the exposition or exposure, whatever, I think it should be exposure, show what is wrong with that definition you gave and suggest how to correct it. So I'm sure you can think around that. I can't give you all the answers because there won't be the answers. There will be answers, several of them that will be correct as you think around them. 1,000,001 of them. That's the nature of a properly set critical thinking question. It's not a mathematical, like 2 plus 3 must be 5. No. In fact, 2 plus 3, sometimes it can be square root of 25. So when you write 2 plus 3, and equal to, and put a box there. Don't expect that everyone should put 5. Someone can write the answer square root of 25 for 2. It is also correct. Or 10 minus 5. to ask the answer and they will all be correct. So I'm just saying that you think around that and then show. So create or construct definitions, instances where people are trying to give meaning to a word, but they are either going circle or they're being vague or they are too narrow or too broad. So you do those, you see people, and then you show in each instance that this is what is wrong with it and this is how you can correct it. If you said it this way rather, it would have been that way. Okay, that's the import of that question. Well done, Jose. Now, the second one, no, what is currently up? Always look at the first one. I want it to be easier for you to follow. So I put the one we are dealing with at the top. Using different scenarios, show why it is important for an effective speaker to give due attention to the type of definition being used. You can't go, okay, let me ask someone, what is this one about today? Let's find out if people are following. And I think so far, I say when I ask the question, I have an answer. Don't worry, Felicity almost always raises her hand. Very good. Maureen. Maureen, please go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead.
I think it's open textures and closed.
Okay, that's also important there. I didn't even think of it that way, but I think you have a point there. Open textures and well-defined is there. Okay. So when you are giving, but the emphasis I think would be more on something. Let me see what others have to say. Okay, thank you for the effort. Someone else is the same hands, and they have all received marks for participation. That is why I keep asking. Even those same hands, keep raising it as many times as you think you have a response, okay? But I'm encouraging others to come along. Yeah, from very good. I get it now. I hear lexical. So yeah, don't worry. I can tell maybe you have a not too pleasant environment, but your response tells me that you know what we have to look out for. Yeah, prompts us, in addition to what Maureen says, that we don't want to think that we can go teaching, for example, young children about sex, the concept of sex, the way we would do with adults who are struggling to get intimate and make babies. How you would teach children the act of sex or the concept of sex, I should say, will not be the same way like how you do it because of the people receiving it. How you teach how to brush the teeth, how you teach COVID protocols. I say teach because I want people to have the understanding that they are going to impact. So the person might be a grown-up 80 years sitting in front of you. You have to think of that person as a 2-year-old in that area because you are now the expert there. You too, when you go and sit where the person is the boss, you will be like a 2-year-old. Receive the word of God like a child. That's scripture, like. Because that is the way you can receive. If you come and sit there with your boss posture where you are a boss, this place you won't benefit. There are places I'll have to sit quietly. By the grace of God, slow, assure, steadily, you finish your thing. And you are now graduated and you are practicing effectively as a gynecologist. You think when I come, well, I don't know if by then I will still be pushing babies. By the grace of God, I've done 4. But suppose I decided to come and push another and I have triplets and you are a plastic surgeon and expert at that. And I come, you think I'm coming to sit there and say, I thought you critical thinking. Are you coming to cut my face? But will I even hear? I'll just have to lie there and say, Doc, it's good to see you. Maybe by then, prof or emerita professor. Oh, all that. Lie down. Open sesame. I'll have to open. I'm just showing you. The point I'm making is, so at every point in time, regardless of stature, physical, whatever, someone is the boss, another is supposed to be seen as the child receiving knowledge. And so you, the one giving, must have an orientation. But how you deliver the content, you make meaning. if it's IMF haircut discussion that we are having, like it's going on in Ghana now, you would have to have a posture that makes it meaningful to the people. Otherwise, there will be resistance everywhere. We won't allow you to baba our hair, make us bound. No way. Those who are typically Ghanaian are following the Ghanaian news know what I'm talking about better. Okay. Pensioners say we are not sleeping because what you are doing, it doesn't make meaning to us. So you always want to ensure that you are looking at your target audience so that you can make meaning. And that is what the question was asking. Okay. Your response should not be less than 500 and not more than 600. Only to regulate. The target audience always inspires what you are doing. What about value judgment as distinct from factual? You are asked to use practical illustrations in politics, religion, blah, blah, but to show that when we make statements of value, they're not the same as statements of fact. Fact, we will use observation to ascertain and establish truth. It is raining at Emma. That can be observed, and the two of us contending can agree and resolve it. But if it is a value-oriented matter, corrupt, beautiful, impolite, that girl is so disrespectful. Because she's assertive, you think she's disrespectful? Another person is a rich assertive. This arrogance, I tell you, my brother, all these are opinions about how the person is behaving. Which one is a factual matter? The student got up and left the lecture hall while the lecturer was speaking to her. That can be objectively established to be either true or false. So it's a factual matter, factually true or factually false. But if you say it was disrespectful of the student to get out of the lecture hall when the male lecturer was teaching, that's a value judgment. And it has implications on how you treat the degree of certainty with which to accept or reject that claim. Because the male lecturer may have been harassing the sister and only needed a time to show that in public. And the sister not wanting any cohesion, excuse me, not cohesion, not cohesion, any confusion, any physical assault, can pick her bag and walk out quietly and just go and make an official complaint. Someone will see that as disrespectful, another may see that as protecting the integrity of the institution. It's a value judgment for one, because of the concept being discussed. Okay, you have to think around that. Practical, so that you put the discussions we've had so far into some context and see the use, and not just chew, pour, pass, forget, theory, antecedent, consequent, deduction. No. For use. So that is the heartbeat there. Now, I think for the policymaker one, I want one of you to talk about it. What do you see there? 3 policymakers are discussing how to ensure just distribution of the national cake. One thing is just distribution is sharing the national cake equally. The other thing is just distribution is rather sharing the national cake fairly. Yet the third thing is just distribution entails everyone his due. From our discussions in Unit 2, explain what the reason for their different views could be. And not just explain, suggest ways to make progress in such a scenario. Okay. When you finish the call, then you come in. I was addressing someone. Now, very good. I see a lot of hands up. Hey, not a lot, 3. Okay. Let me take Elvin Kwashi. I'll come to Stephanie Chipo shortly. And we are just wrapping up. Okay. Go ahead, Elvin.
Hello, madam.
Elwin. Yes, my lady.
Okay,
Elwin.
so I want to explain the fairly part of it before I go to the equal part.
Excellent. Do that.
Okay, so for the person that is talking, like backing the fairly will say that is to, what's the word? manage the resources properly. For an example, if they want to share, like if they want to build hospitals in all the districts, the person talking fairly would not. He will argue that for district that already have a hospital, it wouldn't make sense to give them another hospital, right? And then for the
Yeah.
equally is just to show that maybe all the, let's say, constituencies or districts will need to get it. Like everybody needs to get it for the sake of it. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm listening.
Yeah. So how to make progress in such a scenario is to, I think it's just to argue it out. I feel like I have a little bit backing towards the fairly person, but if you are weighing it, I think the fairly will be more. I don't know if I've deviated, but yes.
Good job. At least you notice that what is happening there is not mathematics. And
Yes.
no offense, no offense against mathematics. It's not logic. Like 2 plus 3 must be this. Why are you people fighting? No, it's not straightforward, sir. I told my main campus contingent, I said, look, people, the battle, or if like the war is a war now between Ukraine and Russia, it's not a well-defined concept. They are both viewing justice differently. It's an open textured matter. Everybody thinks they're doing what is right. Right. If it is mathematics, wouldn't we tell you, but you people, you are wrong, because 3 plus 5 must be this. Why haven't we solved it? If I went to buy something, it says 5 kilograms. I've not opened it. I brought it back to your shop. We weighed it. It's 2 kilograms. Where is the contestation? Now, Putin by now would have gone to Zelensky and said, look, wait, and let's see. When we wait, are you not wrong? The whole world will see. We'll resolve it. Case die. My brothers and sisters in the Lord, it is not that. It is open textured. Look at upstairs of Ghana. I speak figuratively now. What is happening there? If we are listening to the news, a matter that is apparently, we are told now, decades old, even before independence, has still shot its head up. Look at what is happening at the Gaza Strip. You think it is minutes, 2 plus 3 is 5. People stop talking plenty. 2, 3, add it. Is it not 7? 2 plus 3 is 7. No, you are wrong. You are right. Finish. We have solved it. That guy would be resolved. It's not temperature that you have measured, and the person's temperature is 75 degrees. No. 36. It is not that. That one is not contestable because there's clarity, remember. So Madame responded, and I gave all these examples to bring some flesh to the matter. And she can clearly see that the disagreement is about how each policy maker thinks of what the word justice should mean. What justice should mean. That is what is in contention. I'll give you a lecture 3 recording that I'm sure you will find useful from one of the main campuses. Then you play it along before we even engage it substantively. That way, it's almost become like a revision. And when I say play, just get some night data, and just before, I mean, maybe when you are using the washroom quietly, and you can have your earphone on, you are playing for about 40 minutes, you can be playing and hearing, oh, verbal dispute, substantive dispute, I'll be talking plenty. You can play back here, say it again, madam, say it again, and then you get enriched. Okay, so madam clearly sees fair distribution means discrimination that balances the natural unfairness or natural inequality. And so I like to use examples to show that if you went to the hospital to take care of the pimple on your cheek, which is important to you, and we all have to respect that, because Johnny Bravo may be disturbing you, that is what I don't like. And I'm a lady. I want Johnny Bravo to love me, so I'm going to take care of my pimple. And then at the hospital, once I'm worried about taking care of the pimples. I'm in the queue. I went first. First come, first serve. The doctor is attending to the person there. Right after that person, I'm next. And then we hear bang, 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 bang. They drag in someone. A heart is coming out of your chest, an accident. Are you saying that the doctor should treat you all equally? Equal treatment will mean you came first, so you should be attended to before the doctor attends to the emergency situation where a heart is falling out of someone's chest. And yours is to take care of that pimple on your cheek. Very important, but definitely it will not elicit attention for you when there is, see the name, emergency. There will be discrimination. You came first, but you will be treated maybe last, or you may even be ignored. You yourself may even push the chair, call people, hey, and attend to that person, because we have to give attention to the one, see the person who's need, the one who needs it, not the one who wants it, but the one who has, especially where resources are less. The banking hall. The queue may be so long, you were number 3 in the queue. Grandma may come in number 100 in the queue. Some banks had that in the past. I don't know if there is still such a funny scenario. 100 person. What is the manager doing? You should come and sit at the front desk and get a teller, whatever, and start attending to people immediately. But imagine grandma is the number 100. Grandma shaking. She's coming for 50 cedis to go and get her Codipine and Nifedipine for her BP. She's working. You say treat everyone equally. It means first come, first serve. Grandma will stand in the queue until they get to the 100th person. The one who's advocating for fairness says, fairness means we don't have to treat everybody equally, but we have to treat everybody fairly. So we may let grandma jump the queue because she may not survive 30 minutes if you come and do equal treatment. Ghana is, we are all equal in Ghana, 16 regions. Then if our resource, the money we have as a nation is $16 million or cities, whatever. Then every region must get 1 million. Case that, equal treatment. When one region has 200 people, for example, and another has 3 billion people, including you and I, who won't stay in our region. How can that be fair treatment? We want to give everybody 1 million because we are 16 million, the money is 16. When others have workload, it's cosmopolitan, harbors plenty people. You say equal treatment. That is the argument going on. And so you see Madam's response. Madam says, this one, you have to present arguments to convince each other and show where it can be fair treatment, where we have to look at the need and tell the person who came first that, please, you were here first, but we don't have stock. Because you are the doctor, you know she won't die. Her own is pimple. It's not pleasant, but it can wait for even 3 months. Johnny Bravo will not leave it. The other person's own is a need. So if you are sitting on the ethics committee that is sanctioning who is getting free, access to that small resource there in the hospital to help administer whatever health to that patient. That is how a critical mind works. You are engaging the various aspects of the discussion. And that one is not part of, what you learn as a medical practitioner. But that is why the critical thinking team have launched into your institute. Boom, got to think. And so Madam says, give to the one who needs it. So there is only 2 pints of blood left. One person needs it for a surgery that she will take, that she can wait. That surgery can wait. It won't kill her. It just gives her discomfort. The other one is delivering triplets. She doesn't decide when the babies drop. You have only 2 pints, just as an example to give. You don't say this one applied for it first. First come, first serve. You have small brain, critical thinking. You got to think through it. That is what is happening here. And so Madame gave us a good gist. Well done. I don't want to add the other 2, but you can see we called the sister Slave Queen in 2010. She enjoyed the label. 2022, they called her Slave Queen. She says, if you call me that, I will take you to court. And you will pay damages. What has happened? What do you think is happening? Different connotations, unit 2, of the same word is generating confusion. So perhaps in 2010, when you hear slave queen, it meant what? Classy, chic, you are chic, you are classy. In 2022, maybe it means you take other people's husbands. You are slaying them. So now she doesn't like the label. She know I'm friend. In the past, people will see and say, oh, hey, my lady, you look sexy. And it looked like, hey, then it means you are looking flashy. Now, I think you say the same thing to someone. I say, don't say that to me. Do I look like someone who is selling herself? Words connote, they have meanings that change. I want to wrap up quickly, that's why. And then for this one that you see up there, look at the earliest one on your screen. I asked you to use different, oh no, that's still part of the, Here I say, show 3 different scenarios that explain critical thinker is advised to bracket metaphorical, proverbial, and other forms of symbolic language. And the reasons I have given you. Bracket it, treat it specially when you are doing proverbial language, metaphorical language. Treat it specially. That simply means don't think of it the way you will think of all other expressions, because proverbs are intentionally vague. Metaphors are intentionally vague. I told you the one with the president is a lion. I told you how that can be misinterpreted by someone who wants your downfall. The guy is not doing a good public relations work for you. He's gone telling the nation that you are scaring all of us. Meanwhile, you intended perhaps to say that he's bold. He can face this one too when he sees the IMF force. You can lose your job. Lobbyists, okay? The same way, proverbs can present one expression in different ways to bring peace. The hen also knows when the sun rises, but it is the cock that crows. This is to a couple. I'm sure we would have discussed that. If not, I'll send you a recording just to keep you going until we meet to build. Or you can find some also on the channel. Look for Dr. Nancy Miles Gyamfi. I mean, white, they have not changed that. And find lecture 3 recordings if you are interested. Just play them. They'll give you an inkling on those discussions. But think about that. If I said the hen also knows when the sun rises, but it is the cock that crows. If I said that to a couple that have fought and they have come to my office or my counseling session at church or as a psychologist or as a medical doctor, you see that the sister has bruises here and there. And so when the husband brings her in, we want to tell them something that will bring peace at home. But you want to advise both man and wife. Because if you say it in a way that offends man, he will go home and their marriage may be dissolved. There are 16 children. They have plenty of children already. So you have to apply a lot of critical talk. And this is not part of your medical practice. But you are a critical mind doing your medicine to save lives. So you can just say that. I just want to tell you, my dear couple, as you go home, that the hen also knows when the sun rises. but it is the cork that closes. I wish you well. Have a wonderful stay. You are finished. You don't have to open it. But the man will go home thinking within him that, they say, even though you have all the money and this, you the wife, me, I'm the man. I have to crow. The sister to go home saying, oh, you are. They said, I may have all the connections and money and everything, but you have to be the man and take up your responsibility. And everybody is satisfied in their minds, and yet everybody is also going to do what they can to make it work. Because you didn't go and say, excuse me, gentlemen, this is 2023. How can you be beating your wife like that? You have to respect her. They will say quiet, oh, yes, yes. When they step out, the sister will get double dose of the beating. You didn't help them. And she won't leave the home too because she loves her husband, stupid as he is. But you can advise in a way that feeds ego and yet solves problems. And so I'm saying that proverbial statements, metaphorical ones, have their place. You have to treat them specially, bracket them. Don't interpret them literally. Then the last but one question says, based on your understanding of Unit 1 to 2, critically assess the following comment about human beings. This one is just vague, if you asked me. It's asking you to critique how the resource person is defining human being. That's all. It says human beings are the only animals that are accountable before the law. What does that mean? Animal before the law. They are the only ones accountable before the law. So it is me. Well, I think I see some vagueness there. But I would like to solicit the students' view, the learners' view, because it's critical. I think I want to see what you make of such a definition of human beingness given by what? A resource person. Resource person means the person is supposed to be the boss. Remember the student, the boss child relationship I've talked about. And the person doesn't know. Or the person has given this definition that we can't accept. What then is wrong with it? The final one then says, the final one is like the one we have seen earlier. One defines justice as might, energy. The one who's strong, survival of the fittest. That's justice. The other one says justice is defending sovereignty. This looks more like a place that I don't want to mention. What kind of disagreement are they engaged in and why? And you can reflect on such wonderful questions to help you cement what we have done so far in the course and prepare you for what is ahead. Most importantly, for your practice as a medical student. I'm so done. Any questions, please? All right, very good. So I'll look at your submissions and then I'll review them. And I start from a perfect score and read. That's how I grade. I grade as if I'm giving you 10 over 10. Then as I read, if there is something I have to correct, then as I correct, then I deduct where I have to. So chances are that you will do fine because I heard the feedbacks from Emmanuel Teria, Felicity, Charles Lynn, Nana Kofi, Abna, and several others, Maureen, that I couldn't even pick the responses. Well done. Jeremy, are you there?
Yes, madam.
Charles Lynn, are you there?
Yes, please.
Very good. So when we finish class, I will engage you directly. I want us to try, or better still, I think I can do that with Jeremy. Then we see the way forward with your other content. Is there any new person that didn't see me week 1? Because I know that we started with 39 people today. But when I met you, we were about 33. It means we've had some few additions, right? I've not here. Okay, very good. Any other person who is new, I need to keep it because I keep records of stuff. Okay, so I see Olu. All right. Shafal, that's fine. I think there should be more than 2. Some few others, I'm saying them so that they'll be on record. That's what I'm doing. Is there any other person? Okay, thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed the session, and we hope to have a good time in person, not the coming week. If it is going to be in person, I'll give prior notice. We will discuss it. Want to make sure everyone is able to, and it will be effective, and then we meet. Prepare my sign forms. I don't know. I will engage your authorities and see how I'll do the signage to make other matters that are pertinent easier and straightforward. I will generate this link and share on your WhatsApp platform, hopefully before morning. If there are no questions, thank you very much. All the best and keep studying the lecture 3 till we meet God willing next week. All the best. Take care.